I'm actually a little nervous about this one. Just because it's not really something that people talk about often. Now, I am an open book, but doesn't mean that I like to read the chapters often. And mental health support is a huge part of my coaching. And the reason for that is because I have suffered with my mental health in the past. I need to make one thing abundantly clear from the start is I am in a fantastic place now. I am the happiest I've ever been. I am sleeping amazing. I'm so proud of me as a man, as a person, as a brother, as a partner to Steph. I've come a long way to be able to say those words, and I'm happy and proud of myself that I can say that, because I've been in incredibly dark places, to the extent that I knew where I'd hang myself in my previous place. I knew exactly when I was going to wait until I had a bulldog, and I was going to wait until he passed, and then that was it. And that was it for me. I would have done it at any point, because I made a vow to myself that if he ever stopped snoring and didn't wake up from any of his sleeps, there'd be no reason for me to carry on that day, because I didn't have a purpose. And that little fucker didn't stop snoring. He didn't, and up until his last day, it was just me and him. For the longest time, it was just me and him, because I felt so alone. Sure, I have plenty of friends. I've got 2 younger brothers that I'm very close to. I just didn't feel safe enough to confide in anybody what I was going through. Having had therapy to get me to this place, there's a lot of things that I've had to realise and come to terms with, that it's not my fault. It's not my fault. For the longest time, I would blame myself or anything and everything negative. Is like, I deserve this. I should be feeling like this. This is what I get. It's the conversations I would regularly have with myself, and that wasn't the right way to talk about myself, because obviously I would never get out of a situation I was in. And I was a deep depression. I was suicidal. I was an insomniac. It definitely started from when I was very young. My upbringing was turbulent. There was a lot of domestic abuse at home, physical, emotional, throughout my younger years into my adolescence. It was something that I knew no different. The problem is, my idea or my belief or my way of thinking of what trust is was compromised from a young age, because the people you put your immediate trust in without even taking your first breath are your parents. Unfortunately, they made mistakes. My dad's an alcoholic. There will be times where I would be his best friend or his best punching bag. I never knew what type of man I would be greeted with on any given evening. After he would work, then drink, and then go and eat dinner, and it was that period of time where you don't know who he's going to be. He was my hero growing up until I started to learn that his behaviour is not okay, and I started to see him more for not my dad but a person, and what kind of person would want to do this to their child. A prime incident is I was young. This was on a Sunday, helping him hang up a radiator in the house. I don't know why. He must have had to change it over, bought a new one. So helped him mark the brackets up. And when I say I'm young, I'm still in primary school. I'm talking, let's say 8 years old. but this is just one example of many. So we're hanging up this radiator, connect the radiator, everything's all good from what I understand on the Sunday. One rule my dad always said is if something happens and you tell me the truth, nothing bad will happen. So that was always in my head. I never did anything bad enough to lie to him anyway, but that was in my head. Monday morning, the radiator, which is by the front door, we're just about to leave for school. And I lean on the radiator, didn't really think anything of it. And it drops off the brackets. Oh, my dad comes marching down the stairs, shouting angrily. So I just said to him, I'm sorry, I just leant on the radiator, it dropped. Well, that was it. He stormed down the stairs, hits me hard to the floor, kicks me whilst I'm on the floor. I scrambled to the kitchen. As I'm scrambling, he picks me up from the floor, throws me into the kitchen. I slide along, smash into the cupboard doors. And my mum's screaming at him to stop it, basically. He hits me a few more times. Then I managed to run out into the car and then go to school and pretend everything was fine and okay. Because that's what I was used to doing. Yeah, a few hours later, my mum and dad are at the school because I left my PE kit at home. I didn't have time to grab it when I was running out. And I couldn't look at him in the face. And it was then that I realised, do you know what, this situation isn't okay, I can't trust you. I cannot trust you. And obviously trust is a big thing with your parents. My mum, as much as we've developed a relationship now, she wasn't much better, unfortunately. On weekends, my dad would be hungover, and obviously us kids would be up early. But she was petrified of us making noise that would wake him up because she would be scared of what he would do to us. So her way of making sure we didn't make noise was to hit us. And because I didn't want my brothers to absorb much of the abuse, I would choose between the slipper or the dog's lead, because apparently one of those was a threat and one of them was a kindness to stop something worse potentially happening. So I've had one parent from the age of 7, 8 years old where I just can't trust anymore. And another parent who, in her way of trying to protect me, is teaching me violence is the way to cope with a situation to stop it getting worse. Which as a kid, you know that's not right. That's not what you're ever told. But when you're living it at home, it's very different. And then growing up into the teenage years, like another time I showed up, I think 10 minutes later of curfew, and my dad I was walking up the stairs, my dad tripped me on the stairs, so I fell on my belly. As I turned over to my back, he's on top of me and just wailing down punches. So I'm literally just defending myself with my arms up. I'm like, I'm just not going to fight back with this. What's the point? But obviously then a bit bigger. It was just more verbal abuse, especially from my mum. I think it's because she knew, obviously physically she'd be no match. But verbally she knew how to tear me down. Just constant belittling, dismissive natures, everything that I would say of my dreams or ambitions or anything that I wanted to achieve was just dismissed and never encouraged, and just, you're not good enough to do that, you're not smart enough to do that. Who do you think you are thinking that you can do X, Y, and Z? Just obviously living it, you don't know that it's bad until you get out of the situation, then you can look back and compare it to others. And that was probably the start of depression. I probably was depressed as a teenager, I just didn't know it. I didn't really know it. I mean, how would you? And then growing up into my 18, 19, 20s, early 20s, you're figuring out life, but I'm figuring out life based on lies, basically, and on how to trust people. So I would have had a few long-term relationships, but inevitably they wouldn't last, because when it gets down to the point of me having to show vulnerability, and I mean true vulnerability in a relationship where you open up and show your underbelly and you share your deepest, darkest secrets, your fears, and I couldn't do that, because how could I? My idea of trust is non-existent. So how can I trust you with me if I can't trust anybody, which has been proven my whole life? And then, as I say, coasting through early 20s, drinks, drugs. I'd go out pretty much most weekend drinking. Coke, pills, MD. All fun. They're all fun for a while, but they are very much an escape. And then when adulting starts happening a bit more, and you have your own place, and you have bills to pay, and it's it starts getting real, that why can't I hold down a relationship? Why do I get no enjoyment for life? I never could absorb happiness. I could be in the moment, and I can put on a mask and I can put on a brave face, and people would not think that there was something majorly wrong in my head, because I was so good at putting on a performance. But those performances, week after week, do eventually weigh down on you. They do get heavy. So there'll be plenty of times on a Friday night where I'll just be in a dark room, just not wanting to move, just isolating, just crying. And then Saturday afternoon, meet up with my mates, like nothing had happened and everything's all fine and everything's all good. I was very good at putting masks on, because I was unable to speak. I couldn't speak up because I didn't trust anybody to really care and really listen. So I did that for years, which led to insomnia. I couldn't sleep because the second my head would touch the pillow, I was just wired. I was just wide awake. Not really thinking about anything specific, just not being able to turn my brain off. And eventually, with the putting on masks and the exhaustion from not sleeping, it creates suicidal thoughts. And I had plenty of those. I was very tempted many times. As I said, I had a bulldog, and in many ways he did save my life. Because there's no way I'd be making this video now if he went earlier than he did. It was only because he lived for so long, because he had such a healthy lifestyle. I mean, it was the healthiest bulldog you ever would have met. He lived way beyond the average age of a bulldog. And that's because he was well looked after and well cared for, which is somewhat ironic considering the situation I was in during almost the entirety of his life. But because he did live on longer than most do, it brought me time to realise things aren't sustainable of how I am. I don't want to, put it this way, if I had 3 hours sleep, in consecutive sleep during one night, that was the best night's sleep I would have had that week. Everything was really broken. It'd be 20 minutes here, half an hour here, hours in between trying to fall back asleep. Then my alarm would go off and I'd get up and go to work. It was difficult. But I do believe that my caring for my dog to make him live longer than he did bought me the time I needed to reach out and get help, and I mean real help. It's very difficult to during that time to speak up. I remember I confided in one of my best mates, told him how I'm feeling, told him the whole situation, which I was so scared and so nervous about. I had to really get myself gassed to do it. And I told him, and he told me he was going through something similar. And it was just an instant weight dropped off me. I just didn't feel as heavy anymore. I didn't feel like I was dragging around all this worry, all this fear, all this inadequacy, all this misbeliefs that I'm something I'm not. Because I thought I was worthless, I thought I was useless, I thought I couldn't or wouldn't amount to much. But hearing my best friend saying he's going through something similar, somebody who I look up to and love dearly, still do to this day, instantly I've gone from feeling lighter to realising I'm not alone to, oh shit, I can help this man. And he did the same back. But it was from there that I did get help, I did get counselling. Started off trying to find the right therapist, because it did take a few. And then a session every week, a session every 2 weeks, a session every month, until I was ready to be like, I don't need this anymore, I'm okay. And I am okay, I really am okay, but this is why people who suffer with mental health, who I work with, mean so much to me. And I really, really do want to look after them, because I do not want anybody to feel for a single second what I lived through for years. It's exhausting in every sense of the word. The conversations you have in your head about yourself, you would never say to another human. You would never go up to somebody that you care about. You're like, you're useless. The fuck are you doing here? You don't belong here. You have nothing going for you. You're not good enough. You can't do this. You just wouldn't do that. You just wouldn't do that to one of your friends or families, but you would do it to yourself. And that's the conversations in my head that I needed to change in order to come full circle and to be better, which I am. I mean, there's a difference between having doubts and having self-doubt. I mean, if I was going to enter a bodybuilding show and I've done my very, very best and I look the best I ever have and I step on stage, I mean, I've still got doubts that I might not pose well, I've still got doubts I might not place, but the self-belief, knowing that I've done everything to get there and to give my best on that day, won't be shaken. And that's the same thought in life. You're going to have doubts, you're going to be nervous about things, it's very common, it's very normal, but don't put yourself down. Just don't do that, because you start believing those things. And once you start believing it, it's very hard. Very hard. It's very difficult to shake that off. I'm in a better place. Well, the best place I've ever been. I can be open, I can be honest, I can talk about this. It's not easy. There's posts that I've made on Instagram in the past talking about stuff like this, and it takes me a little while to shake that conversation back off. I just feel a bit deflated afterwards. Sometimes a bit emotional, sometimes tears do come out. Truth be told, even at points during this video, I could feel tears coming. Because it's raw, it's still not an easy thing to talk about, but I am more than willing to talk about it because I know it helps. And I know if people are listening to this and it helps somebody, just one person, then all of this video was worth it. It really was. But again, this is why people that I work with, I want to look after their mental health so much, because when I was really depressed, I would still go to the gym. It was a great distraction, but the time outside of the gym made the gym itself a little bit pointless, in the sense that, okay, it served the purpose to sort here out, but physically I wasn't really going anywhere. I wasn't developing, I wasn't really achieving much. And I know from personal experience, once I started to achieve in the gym, as in like lifting heavier, looking better, progressive overload all the way through, and my physique developed, then mentally I was just in a naturally better place. I was in a happier headspace. I was excited to get to the gym. I was excited to do all the things around the gym that made the gym itself even better, like nutrition, like making sure technique was perfect. It saved me as well. It really did. Having a good distraction and something to aim towards and something to do and something to do properly, it just created a winning circle, as in I started to lift heavier, I started to look better, I started to feel better, I started to get more confident. All of these layers kept building up. And again, none of that would happen if I didn't put the work in. you have to put the work in physically, but you do have to put the work in mentally as well. So if there's anybody who's watching this who's interested in becoming a client of mine, just know that I will regularly be asking about your mental health. In fact, it's one of the questions on your check-in sheet. But I do have calls with clients weekly just to talk about their mental health. I'm not going to say any names, but one guy suffers with anxiety, so I pretty much speak to him daily just to keep him on track. And he's doing fantastically well. He really is. He's turned such a corner recently, and I can hear in his voice how much happier he is, and it's heartwarming. I've got another guy who, again, won't say any names, but he does have a mental health disorder, and he was quite apprehensive about working with me, but I said to him, look, if you're going to work with me, I need to know everything about you. Everything. You can't hide anything. You can't, because if you do, I can't help you to the best of my abilities, get the best out of you. And he's flying, man. He's flourishing. He's doing so well, and I couldn't be prouder of him. Just because he put his trust in me, and I feel I'm safe in saying I've rewarded him, and then some. And they're just two examples of clients that I have. It's just an incredible feeling to see people who I know are suffering change for the better, physically and mentally. Because I've done that, I've lived it, and I've been through that journey. And if I can do it, somebody who's abused as a child, who had zero self-worth, zero self-confidence, and was suicidal, if I can do that, so could you, because you're going to have somebody who's been there by your side the whole time. I didn't have anybody, unfortunately, but you do. You do. If you're a client of mine, you have me for the entire time we work together and beyond. And mentally and physically, if you leave me in a better place, to me that's job done. I've done my job as a coach. So I truly do hope that me opening up has helped at least one person to understand that if you're going through something, it's okay to go through it. Just please reach out to somebody, talk about it. Even if it's me, even if you're not a client, I'd be more than happy to help. But this video hasn't been easy to make. I'm just glad that I have done it. And yeah, not much more already to add. If you're not on my email, I'm going to do a plug now. I know I have to do it because, you know, I still want to develop my coaching business. I want to be a full-time coach. I want to have that as my private source of income, and I can only do that with an influx of clients. So if you are interested in being a client, please do let me know. But if you want to learn more about me and what my clients get up to, but not just on Instagram, join my email listing. The link is in the description of this video. Hopefully, I hear from you soon.